Hello everyone and welcome back to another weekly altered video. This is Bleeny's Conrad, hope you've been well. And we've done a bit of a rebuild for Fen and Crowbar. Thanks for playing. Seen this one before, but not in this iteration. It is a Lyra Festival list. If you've been playing at all over the last few weeks, probably would have seen this a few times. I got rolled a couple of times when I wasn't ready for it, so I think it's good for the blind matchups, but if you're ready for it, it can be beaten, so we'll see if our opponents are ready today. Going to scroll to the bottom first. The website has changed, and now we have these card views. Very pretty, but a little bit unwieldy when it comes to showing off all the cards in the list. The main interaction and the purpose of the deck is to try and win with our Lyra Festivals. Drop it on a turn, 4 mana, big deal, but you can create a couple of creatures off of these counting sheeps as well. Drop them on your side, give them both a sleep, that covers one. If you've got something with fleeting, you can just anchor the other one, and if they don't interact, they win. You win. Actually, they don't win at all. So we expect to go down in expeditions a lot, fall behind because the deck is built with an alternative win con in mind. The deck is built in a way that enables this combo very heavily. So we've got 3 Lyra Signets, 3 magical trainings as ways to draw cards. A lot of resupply as well. Aloe Vera, paying 4 mana to anchor. If you play it out of reserve, it's fleeting for next turn, so you can on turn 3 of the game when you've got 5 mana, drop the Vera from reserve. And then on turn 4, when you've got the 6 mana counting sheet plus Lyra Festival, is an uninterrupted win. Resupplies as well, big fan of that. We've got a few uniques that went through our collection and were serviceable, but we'll come back to those. And the rest of the deck is mostly about recurring cards. Obviously you resupply with Fen a lot, so we've got 3 Hathors at common, 2 Sleight of Hands to bounce things back to hand. Ouroboros Inkcaster also does that when played from hand. So, got to think about that when those are both available to us. A lot of cost reducers as well. 3 Martingales. One of our uniques does that too. 3 Twinkle Twinkles all reduce the cost of your card value. So speeds up a festival win if you want to turbo it out. Makes it easy to play around what your opponent does by reducing the cost in the later turns as well. So we'll see if that comes into play at all. And then just some good stuff. Acapella training, 1 mana, interactive, good on both sides actually. If you want to give one of your things fleeting with a festival win on board, that obviously works. But you can also just get rid of one of their cards if they've got anything that triggers when it goes to reserve. Magpeng Hoarder's efficient way to put some stats on the board. Obviously you're always, not always, but regularly going to have two cards in reserve with your Fen trigger. So playing that out is good. You want to give stuff fleeting anyway, so playing it from hand is a way to surprise them. Pretty big deal. So 8 mana play there, 2 cards in reserve, Magpeng, Counting Sheep, Lyra Festival, not necessarily in that order. Definitely works as a way to win the game out of the blue, and then 2 Cloth Cocoons out of respect for permanents that your opponent wants to play as well. 2 Hatters, if you resupply them, looks good. If the expeditions line up, it's a decent amount of stats, but you can anchor stuff from reserve as well. And then we'll just go through the uniques quickly. So the Paper Herald, reasonably good. 1 mana, resupply, does it on both hits, also puts a token on the field if you have it in reserve. Saves you some mana, puts another body on the board, plays really well with the Inkcaster. And the Hathors, Haven Seringar, a 1 mana 1/1/2, so good stats, which is a little bit lacking in this deck. Reduces the cost of cards from reserve, puts a card in reserve as well, which can be a big deal if you draw one of your hatters, or you've got something to pitch, and then returns a spell from reserve to hand. Plays well with your resupply, plays well with Fen. Play it out for 2 mana, get something back. And then the last one is just a Gavroche. So playing it out gets you an Aerolith token, another form of resupply, big fan of that. And then a conditional bounce as well. So returning any card can be a big deal. But making the Aerolith token pretty good, reduces cost. I just figured if we're going to go through our list, really cheap cards, definitely the ones we want to put in there, bouncing and resupplying all what stuff that we want to do anyway, so leaning really heavy into that. And then just didn't mention the sleight of hands. It's really the last card, you know. So it's got a lot of conditional play. You can actually win just by advancing further than your opponent. Twinkle Twinkle, obviously, really big to sleep their hungers, which is a card to look out for in your Bravos and Yuzmir matchups. Counting Sheep has additional play if you're against token decks, so your Sigismars, your Brassbug Hive Axiom lists, definitely can matter, but you're really trying to just win with the festivals. Talked about pretty much every card there, It's all a very focused list, trying to play a slightly different game, take your opponent off kilter. You're really worried about single target removal. We used our flex slots for the Inkcasters and sleight of hands for the most part here. I think everything else that we have at rare is very important. These 8 cards most specifically can probably cut an Aloe Vera and the Inkcasters to get maybe Parliament of Ashes into the deck. Draws a card, is a permanent, draws their removal, makes their single target removal more expensive, which can matter, but that's not what we're doing. We're just trying to finesse our opponent into not having removal, basically. So yeah, we're worried about that. If we go behind, we're not going to be too stressed because we can always win, even if our opponents are butted up against each other in a single advance wins. If we get to the point where we can drop a festival, being at dusk, that actually triggers before anyone advances, so we can really pip them. Let's hope that happens. Alright, pretty good deck tech. Hopefully this list goes well. Definitely not my wheelhouse, but we did run a few videos of Navenka and Blotch with Festival early on, so we'll see how we go. Coming back to an old favourite, this was really fun to play in the past. I think it's better now, and it can be frustrating, so maybe we can extract some salt from our opponents. I hope not. Hope they're okay with it. Time investment's not too bad, so no one gets too mad. But yeah, I'll see you in game 1. And here we are with our first game of our revised Lyra Festival deck. Switched heroes, Fen and Crowbar. Didn't swap over the name because I really like the idea of Navenka being our Festy one. Seems to fit. Alright, what do we got here? Hathor and Acapella Training can be played turn 1, as can Magpeng or Gavroche. The Hatter may be good to do a slight advance here. A lot of options. Acapella Training's likely not that good, considering Sierra's likely to play a 3 cost permanent to the field, so we're not going to be able to give anything fleeting. But I think we give her the give her the option. Our Gavroche unique here gives us a chance to resupply with an incidental aerolith token. And if we a cappella training, we can actually put it back in our hand anyway. I think this gives us the best chance at playing out several of our cards. And so I think we'll take it. Magpeng's good. If we have 2 cards in reserve when we play him, which we likely should, given that we're getting a free one off of Gavroche at some point. Okay, let's hope they don't keep the Aerolith Reef here. Hooked doesn't really matter to us, but they do get rid of it. Reasonable. We could block them here. I think we're okay with that. And unfortunately, the only thing we do by playing out the a cappella training in order to bounce it back would be to reveal that we have it. I think we're okay holding on to the Aerolith here. And the a cappella training might catch something off guard, maybe one of their cheeky uniques if they're trying to loop it around with the little 1-drop keylon thingy. Can't remember what it's called. Alrighty. We have a Magpeng Hoarder online here. We'll be resupplying something new into our hand. I believe we'll just play him out, hoping to draw out some of their removal. Obviously, the Aerolith Reef can easily mess up our Lyra Festival victory here. And then we'll just force them to play out. We'll take the extra resupply with the Gavroche. Big fan of this card. The 3 uniques that we have in the deck, obviously would have talked about him in the deck tech. But just small ways, cheap, efficient ways to keep cycling through cards. No extra way to cycle through this magical training, so that one will be stuck there for a little bit longer. Really interesting choice of our opponent not to block us off there. And this Aerolith Reef might be a target for our mechanical trainings if we can manage to find one. Not mechanical training, our Requiems. If we find a Requiem at some point, we would consider dropping it here on this guy so that they can't mechanical training. Sorry. A little bit tired. On a bit of struggle street with that one. Alright, a lot of choices here. Not sure what the best one is. Perhaps it will be to play out with our resupply. We could magical training Twinkle Twinkle here if we reduce the cost with our ink caster. Highly likely that our opponent has 2 power on board. We kind of like being on blue, so we're actually going to contest here against their brass bug. If they want to play out a 3-drop permanent to get their brass bug, at least they won't get to advance on both sides. Alright, Opera House. What's the go here then? I think we're going to go for it here. We're just going to sleep the brass bug, slow the game down. Obviously try to sculpt what we have. They reveal a bug out bag, can't play that one. Need a 1-drop, otherwise we take an advance here. Uncontested. Which is going to change the texture of the game. Alright. Now we use the aerolith beef. Aerolith reef, not beef, to bounce and keep everything going. Nothing to be gained here from playing out the Twinkle Twinkle. Can only a cappella training from hand. If we had another creature, one of our 1-drop martingales or something like that, we would have played it out, obviously. And then we have a choice of what to get rid of. Perhaps the Lyra Signet is going to be a little bit too fancy here, although playing it for 3, drawing a card, resupplying, sees 2 cards as opposed to the magical training. So that might be our choice. Let's hope we find some form of creature here. Magpie Hoarder. Can't play that into their open mechanical training. But that is a good hit. If we play out the Aloe Vera, they didn't advance on the blue side, so we get to take advantage of this guy's additional power. Let's see. They reveal a dropship. They might play that if they have a way to sack it in hand. Boom would be devastating, I suppose. They can play out the dropship and then boom it. Get characters across both sides, although they would have one of each already on this turn. Still have access to the mechanical training as well. Perfectly reasonable. What is this? This is not a good opportunity for our counting sheep, because we only get the one use of it. So we can take the contest with the Magpeng Hoarder. I do like the idea of that being our fleeting option if Aloe Vera doesn't pan out. And is it better not to get tricky with the Twinkle Twinkle here and just sleep something? So we can trade 1 for 1 here. No matter what we do, Twinkle Twinkle, Magpeng both get us that trade. And I think I like the idea of staying on blue here, so we can at least threaten and advance a little bit better with our Vera. Decided not to trade 1 for 1 there. Keeping this guy strong. Arguably easier to try and advance later. Although, it would, if nothing got played at all, ever, would involve an advance on both of our sides. Alright. Plenty of looks at Lyra Festival here. Paper Herald's an interesting one. Gets us another resupply. 1 mana can still drop Festival and Counting Sheep on the same turn. Though we can do the same with the Aerolith. No Reef for us to consider anymore. So I guess we'll try and high roll here, see what we can get done. Making another bug is their only option. And then we've got heaps of options here. We could actually Signet to draw out. Look at 2 more cards, although in order to keep the game from getting out of reach tactically, Counting Sheep, Magpeng, Signet would be the way to go. So I think we'll do that. That's alright. Forgot to count how many cards we had in reserve. We started with 4. Probably should have resupplied with the Aerolith first. That is not ideal. So we'll Lyra Signet again. Definitely clutching at straws here. But got trips in reserve, so that's going well for us. Yeah, probably could have blocked them there and advanced if we'd played our turn out a little properly. Magpeng with 2 cards in reserve, and then the Martingale would have represented enough power to block him out. Dropship got sacrificed, so we're pretty much on the hook here exactly for a copy of Lyra Festival, which we didn't hit. Can get rid of their Cloth Cocoon for 3 Aloe Vera. I'm starting to get the sneaking suspicion that our opponent might not be playing any creatures, although that would be weird because do they have no uniques? Are they just playing permanents and dealing with all of the shenanigans that entails? Alright, if they play any creature at all, we're a little bit stuffed here. Yeah. I think that error message is telling us that the game's a little bit cooked. That's alright, we'll figure it out. Gonna have to do it. We're gonna be drawing to drawing to very few outs here. Literally have to get our one copy of Counting Sheep, one copy of the 3 Lyra Festivals that we haven't seen at all this game. Look through most of our deck, 26 cards we've seen. Not one of them, so we're a good shot to get that, but the second Counting Sheep definitely looking a bit rough for us. We'll pass the turn. A Hunger would be nice, not playing the colours, that's okay. And we'll see if we do it, eh? That ain't it, Chief. Could it be it? I don't know. Definitely lets us see a few cards. Aloe Vera would have been nice to have out here. 10 cards, we have a 30% chance of drawing any of our bloody Lyra Festivals. 10% chance to draw a Counting Sheep. I guess we have to play to our outs. Martingale, Lyra Signet. See how we do. So that'll be 5 mana for Counting Sheep if we get the 50% roll. Got the 1 in 10. Did not get the extra draw. Suppose we're going to go for it anyway. Let's see. We do have it in hand. So now we need to find... a way to sleep next turn. What does our deck look like here? Twinkle Twinkle, 1 copy. Where's the X button? It's disappeared. And then how many copies? 1 copy in... 1 copy of Twinkle Twinkle in reserve, 1 in discard, 1 in mana. We are actually drawing live here. If we can find a way... So we can get Fleeting off of the Magpeng. Anchored or Asleep off of the Festival. The other one off of... Oh, we don't even need to play the Magpeng. We can a cappella training Anchored Asleep. Oh my god, this game was so scuffed. But we've actually discovered a way. If they have no removal, we do actually have an out. Fleeting Anchored Asleep for 9 mana. And if they interact at all, we're just done. Should have been paying better attention to what we put into the mana there, but we are drawing live. Oh, okay. If we can just fade removal, we'll be okay. Our opponent has only showed Aerolith Reefs at this point. This is a 9 mana play. Can we afford to drop a Magpang? That'd take us down to 8, which is just the Festival and the Aloe Vera, so no. Not really been paying attention to what our opponent's been dropping lately. But we still haven't seen any removal from them except the Aerolith Reefs. Gonna get rid of the Sleepy token? No, they get rid of one of the regular tokens. Okay. How many mechanical trainings in the bin? 1, 2, 3! Oh my god. Oh my god, we might be doing it. If we can fade a boom. This is the most stressful game I've ever played. What do we want to see out of our opponent here? A Brass Bug Hive. If they drop a Hive, we're just so stoked here. And they do it. We have used everything. Everything at our disposal. Aerolith Reef doesn't do it because if they have to get rid of one of our tokens, and we can just replace the effect with the one that is awake and not fleeting. I'm wondering if they know what's coming. Resupply, drops a frozen delivery, they just use it, run out of mana. Oh my god. I am so genuinely proud of this one. Because we have a plan A. We have a plan A, which is just counting sheep Lyra Festival early in the game. Had to give that up in order to stay alive. And obviously we got really lucky there. But again, playing tier outs, we knew what was in the deck, and the options that we had. So we were actually relatively likely to hit something that was helpful, and we did. So our friend here played Sierra, and then we'll move on to game 2. I'm probably going to take a break after that one. See you in a few minutes. This is game 2 of our Fen and Crowbar Lyra Festival list. Trying this one out again. It's another late one. Finished after the previous game. That was the last one we played for the night. But it was a banger. So this video is definitely getting uploaded. Alright, what have we got here? Incaster a cappella training might be good if they start with a tiny Djinn. We're playing first, so if they don't open on it, we won't get a chance to hit that. But it's fine. So 50-50 shot roughly of Swift Djinn or Tiny Djinn to start off with. We've got 2 uniques as well. We like seeing more of our deck with the Paper Herald. A lot of 1-drops. So we're probably going to get rid of a couple of those. But what are the more important ones? Bouncing something with the Hathor would be good. I think we'll see what we want to do. Like this, no spells in hand for the Sarengar except that a cappella training. Can start off with Paper Herald, Ink Caster, or Hathor Herald. And I think we'll do just that. Got choices. Gonna see an extra card here. The Hatter's good. And we'll see what they want to do with their opening mana. If we have a chance to steal an expedition, I think we'll block with the Ink Caster, because it means we won't have to get rid of a card out of reserve. And if they want to progress there, they're going to have to contest, or they can take the 1-for-1. We're okay with either. Although Chiron is something they could play that would advance both and ramp them with the Tiny Djinn. Rage as well. They're scouting with the Skater. There you go. So we'll pass here, likely take a 1-for-1. They'll ramp, not too stressed about that. As long as we're within range. Send the little guy off. Bounce our Paper Herald. No ways to recur the Ink Caster, so that one's done. But we draw the second one. That is a 2-of in our deck. So it's good to see both of those early. We do like it. Drawing with Magical Training might have been preferable here to resupplying with the Paper Herald. I was thinking about the Hathor here. However, if they play out the Skater, they'll be able to boost and get one anyway. So what I think we'll do instead is drop the Hathor on that side. Keeping the Cloth Cocoon until next turn will stop them. It won't actually stop them from drawing the card, so I think we'll just fire off the Cloth Cocoon on their Tolarian Skater if they play her. And if not, they're going to be low on cards anyway. So we'll just use the Cloth Cocoon while we've got access to it. We'd have to get rid of a bunch of things anyway. And I think we'll keep the Hatter in reserve. We could anchor the Hathor, but it doesn't actually block them from advancing on blue. Although it does move into a good zone for us. Definitely not relevant in this deck, but the three The 3-0 stats on the Paper Herald can come in handy in certain Lyra lists. Maybe we'll revisit that in some other way. Two Magpeng Hoarders, so that's actually a lot of stats here. We'll see what our opponent wants to do. Two cards in hand. We're looking pretty zesty here, I think. Not really the main plan of the deck, and we are drawing thin on the Hatters, but we do have alternative ways to anchor things, so it's not the be-all and end-all if we have to use it. Smouldering Gin. Alright, little bit of math to be done here, I think. So if we play out the Ink Caster, we'll have 2 extra cards sent to reserve, have to get rid of 3, but we can bounce the Magpeng, use the Hatter. And I think we actually like having access to the cost reducer for next turn. Nothing to be boosted in reserve for our opponent's unique. Love that for us. But they are far and away ramping, so Duel of Grits, Mana Eruptions, all going to be very live for when we try to drop our combo. Oh my god. Now I don't know what to do. That is not a May ability. They do have to select something. And now I kind of just want to keep the stats around. We'll have to... We'll have to get rid of something out of reserve. I really wasn't ready for that, actually. Alright. We'll take it. Bit of a gift. Ain't going to be too upset. And all of a sudden we're looking a little bit stronger on the front end. We'll continue to resupply with the Paper Herald, as good as protecting the Magpeng would be. And barring any sabotage, we are technically live here. So we're going to resupply 1 card. Aloe Vera is not a bad one. And the fact that they played out the Smouldering Gin likely means no sabotage. Discard their unique, no shenanigans to be had there, protects us from Duel of Grits. I think they would have fired one off before the tiny djinn had they had it. I think this is not too poor an opportunity to get some more value out of our paper herald. If they want to block us, they have to have a 2-mana, 2 in blue. They did have one. So we'll continue to trade 1 for 1, but there are well down on cards. They're going to have the spotter available, plus potentially 2 other cards. I think we'll finally get rid of our paper herald. Got the value out of that one that we wanted. Not looking to set up a turn here, although aloe vera anchoring would give us a pretty good shot at dropping a Lyra Festival. Not too impressed with actually sending that to reserve because we're likely to see some form of hunger here. So getting an extra festival in hand is nice. Although it means we're going to have to set up a little bit more. Okay. Fire Rabbit, if they spotter, they can't hunger. If they hunger, they can't do anything else. We can... not really a fan of giving the hunger fleeting if we have to. So I think we'll just draw a card here and see what they want to do. What is your last card, sir? Is it the Big Scary? Is it Tolarian Skater? Alright, no way we can actually block them with our 4 remaining stats. But they won't draw a card off the spotter here. And we'll be able to hit whatever they want to play. So they lose fleeting on both, or they get fleeting on both with the Signet. I suppose we're both going to be at the mercy of the top deck. I think we actually protect. Grab a couple of boosts, no reason for them to play out the spotter now. And I think we're trying to draw to a Twinkle Twinkle actually, as much as anything else. Let's see. I have a feeling they're going to tell us very early on whether they drew a large creature or not. Sakurabru, Hunger, Halua, all valid targets. No chance to bounce here. So we'll take the magical training back into hand. Show us a Mighty Djinn. Not too upset about that. Recur our training. Draw a card, another aloe vera. And we actually are in with a shot to win here, depending on what the remaining card in their hand is. Actually just sort of stayed ahead there. Kept up. And did the thing. Did the thing without the Lyra Festival. Had it in hand. Didn't come to fruition. But there you go. Deck works. Actually has a backup plan. One that doesn't involve manically trying to draw the exact cards you need at the exact right time. Alright, don't have to be Yugimoto to win that one. So yeah, absolutely stoked. There you go. And on to game 3. See you there. 2-0. And we're back with our third game for Fen and Crowbar. So far, 1 festival win, 1 expedition win, I guess you'd call it. Let's hit confirm here. Move on with the game. There we go. Nailed it. Had a bit of trouble getting in, but we're fine. Alright, Akesha and Taru. Gonna be rough. They're gonna have access to a lot of removal. No Parliament of Ashes to protect us here. Got 1 Counting Sheep in hand. I think that's worth keeping around, and then maybe the aloe vera next turn. This guy is, however, susceptible to off you go, which we don't like. Not a fan of that. Really wasn't expecting that win last game. I think our opponent drew poorly, ramped out of their mind. Probably made some poor decisions with putting stuff into mana. But, you know, we'll take that. Big red buttons that we have to click away. And we'll see how we do. Can we get the perfect trifecta? Can we lose a game to go with our 1 festival win and 1 regular win? Could go down here from a Baba Yaga, thinking about that card. Thinking about Alice as well. I think that's a 3-drop from hand. That would block us. But they could be doing anything. Caladrius. Reasonable choice. Take a 0 for 1 here. Puts the Magpeng Hoarder into the reserve anyway. Gives them a 1-drop next turn, so they can play any of their 3-drops with impunity. Likely to force us to play out first. 2nd Counting Sheep. Is that good? Means we might be able to hit something later on. Hand cost 1 or less, not base cost 1 or less. Obviously, when stuff's out on the field, hand cost makes the most sense. We've resupplied an ink caster. I don't know how relevant that's going to be this turn, but it might help us later on. Don't think I own too many, but already mentioned it, Parliament of Ashes might be a good hit for this deck, if you can find the rare slots. I think ink casters are a bit of a flex slot there. Could look at fitting 2 in the 2 spots that we've got there. Magical Training, Lyra Festival, Counting Sheep, obviously all pretty decent staples. I think we'll just try and secure our aloe vera. If they have the off you go, they've got it. They can advance again, and we'll just have to hope they don't have a second 1-drop in hand. Suppose they do have to think about 1 costs coming out of hand. We obviously know that we don't have any. But, yeah, there you go, they had it. I think we'll just pass and send the Magpeng away. Now, you might be laughing at me a little bit for talking so much about off you go and then playing out into it anyway. But sometimes you just have to make your opponent have it, you know, force them to play proactive. The fact that they've got this means they're either going to have to spend more mana later on, or actually have another one in hand. They've only got the 3. We've got 3 aloe veras, but also other things that they might want to hit. So burning through them, trading 1 for 1, obviously going to be a little bit rough at points. But we'll drop the Martingale here. I think Cloth Cocoon will be a safe one to send to discard at the end of this turn. So if we can fade 2 mana out of them here, at least we know they won't get the value off the off you go a second time. But if they play a Magical Training or Studious Disciple, I guess they'll be able to hit that one as well. Alright, 2 mana Conscription. So they'll make 3 tokens in some expedition. I suppose we'll try and play out the off you go, at least force them to play something else from hand if they want to block us off. Because that means that they'll have to discard something at the end of the turn, and we would be happy to say goodbye to this off you go, or Conscription really. Really good card in the matchup, flex slot for them, but that's the choice that they've made. Gotta respect it. Yeah, if we can fade a creature and take a 2 for 1 here, that's something. We'll be happy with that. With the 4 mana we had for aloe vera, we could have, in theory, played her out and one of our counting sheep, blank all of these Ortus recruits. But I'm pretty happy getting the aloe vera out here as a way to look at more cards in our deck. We are falling behind, but the thing about this deck is that we're really only one card away from actually trying to win. And we'll see what they want to get rid of here. Shiva's just going to be regular old stats. Conscription's probably not going away. Potentially they don't want to burn the off you go. I think a reasonable choice from our opponent. What have we put in mana so far? No festivals, only commons. Pretty happy with that. Twinkle Twinkle would have been pretty cool. Does the Serengar say spell or card? It says spell, so no shenanigans to be had protecting the festival. Conscription. We don't mind that because obviously it's not a sabotage. And I think we just use both of our support abilities to delay and play playing anything else. If we can see if we can blank a second copy of Off You Go here. We should be able to seal a victory. What do we actually lose to? Double Off You Go, any sabotage, Banishing Gate is the Izmir permanent removal of choice, cost 4 mana. So if they choose to use that to get rid of one of our things instead, then they won't be able to do anything else. What does it for them? How much does Blizzard costs 5? We've clearly telegraphed what it is that we're going to do. We can always pivot, play out the aloe vera. If we want to, but they have nothing they can play that means they would be able to cast this Off You Go at a later point. So I think we just need to watch and see if they play anything that keeps them above 2 mana here. 2 or more. So a 1-drop or a 2-drop will be scary for us. if we're in that situation... Okay, Fair Fox. Is their last card in hand? Off you go. If their last card isn't off you go, we just win. They've hit us with a whoops. Not exactly sure what that means. I might hit them up after the game, see what they want to get done. But now we've got the refire next turn. So we can aloe vera anchor it, counting sheep. No, we still need some way to gain fleeting. We can always just hit exactly what we need and resupply a creature into reserve. But they've conceded. Alright, there you go. Another festival win. A Kesha note for our opponent. Time to go have some fun. Let's do the debrief. See you there. And there you have it. 3 games done with thanks for playing. Fen and Crowbar Lyra Festival definitely popped off there, including one of the best games I think I've ever played of Altered. Really exciting. Managed to delay it. I don't think our opponent was playing a list particularly geared towards beating us, but we'll take it. We had outs, we played to them, and I will definitely take it. So 3-0, showed off a variety of matchups. One Izmir, one Bravos, one Axiom. Managed to win all 3, and I think we can be proud of that. I even got a sneaky expedition win in there, which I really didn't expect. Yeah, this list works. I think it's definitely worth keeping in the back of your mind whenever anyone plays Fen and Crowbar in particular. I did try to build an Avenka and Blotch list for this because I like playing her more. I think the rolling of the dice is just fun. And this was definitely meant to be a for-fun deck that ended up having actual legs. But, you know, if you do come up against someone playing this hero in particular, and obviously any other Lyra heroes potentially, but not as likely, at least until you can determine that they're not playing Lyra Festival, definitely prioritize keeping some form of conditionless permanent removal in hand. Every colour has access to a card of that at common. So, off the top of my head, Boom, License Withdrawal, Mana Eruption for Bravos, Cloth Cocoons that we were playing today, Banishing Gates, and Lost in the Woods will all deal with a Lyra Festival. Obviously, it's hard to keep that 3 to 4 mana in hand that you need to play after they've played the festival, but you can definitely beat it, and it sort of struggles if you're just putting more stats on board. Obviously not always the case. I think our Bravos opponent in particular drew a bit rough, we got a bit lucky with the expeditions that we ended up on at the end of the game, but you know, we played the situation as it came and ended up pulling out a win at the end there. It's nice to know that the deck can do that as well. A little bit scary, and then obviously that Sierra and Oddball matchup that we played where we just spent a long time sleeping all of their tokens with the counting sheep. Had the backup option, played to our outs, pulled out a spectacular win at the end there. Absolutely stoked with that one. But I don't think our opponent was really either playing the right removal or respecting the potential for the win after seeing those counting sheep. They were very token focused, and I think any actual creature out of them at any point would have probably just won them the game. But we'll take it. Still, great spectacle. Loved playing that one. Really proud. Again. But yeah, I think the only things that I would change about this deck in its current iteration, you can obviously play with ratios a little bit. I think early plays, the Martingales and the acapella trainings are good to keep around. Hitting something out of hand on the early turn, definitely something you can do. But the only flex slots I can really think of are these Incasters, Sleight of Hands. You could play Parliament of Ashes in that spot, something else, maybe upgrade something in the deck to the rare versions as well. But yeah, definitely this deck is like hyper focused and actually works really well. So think about it if you're playing Fen and Crowbar, and if you're playing them yourselves, or playing Lyra yourself, definitely think about running this one. Super fun. Really can surprise a bunch of people into blind matchups. Not sure how it would go in best of threes, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Hope you had fun watching this. I definitely had fun playing it. And I'll see you next week. Watch this space. Next week might be big. Alright, we're out. Love your work.